Chapter 1. Childhood Sparks. Daniel Tran was born in a narrow alley of Hanoi in the early 1990s, a time when Vietnam was undergoing tremendous change. The city was alive with energy, the screeching of mopeds weaving through crowded streets, the rhythmic calls of street vendors selling banh mi and pho, and the steady construction noise echoing from distant new buildings. But amidst the urban chaos, inside a small, dimly lit home nestled behind a modest tea shop, a young boy sat completely absorbed in his world of gears, wires, and screws. At just 10 years old, Daniel was already known in the neighborhood for his unusual habit of taking apart anything mechanical he could get his hands on. Radios with missing knobs, broken clocks, old kitchen blenders, he dismantled them all, piece by piece, with a set of tiny screwdrivers and a pair of curious hands. Often, he would spend entire afternoons examining gears under a desk lamp, trying to understand how motion was transferred and where the system had failed. His mother often sighed as she swept up the screws and bolts that rolled across the tiled floor. "Mom, I took it apart to understand how it works," Daniel would explain, holding up a wire coil triumphantly. "But you always forget to put the screws back in," she replied with an exasperated smile, unable to hide her amusement. Despite the mess he made, his parents recognized that their son's obsession wasn't a phase. Daniel was a bright, focused child. He devoured books about electricity and motion, and his school grades, especially in math and science, were consistently excellent. In grade 9, a pivotal moment arrived. His physics teacher, Mr. An, who had a background in mechanical drafting, noticed Daniel's unusual ability to visualize mechanical systems. After class one day, he handed Daniel a battered metal toolbox filled with old mechanical instruments. "Use this to build," Mr. An said gently, "not just to break." Daniel never forgot those words. That night, he stayed up sketching his first design, a self-propelling toy car. Chapter 2. The Path of Learning. In high school, Daniel's passion only deepened. He spent his weekends at the community tech lab, helping younger kids learn basic circuits, while secretly working on his own experimental models. At 17, he won a national prize in applied physics with a model of a wind turbine that could self-adjust its blade angle based on wind speed. That prize brought him more than a certificate. It earned him a full scholarship to study mechanical engineering at the University of Melbourne, a dream far beyond what his family had imagined. Leaving Vietnam was both thrilling and terrifying. On the day of departure, Daniel packed a single suitcase containing clothes, 2 notebooks filled with sketches, and the rusty mechanical toolkit Mr. An had given him. He hugged his mother tightly at the airport. "I'll make you proud," he whispered. Melbourne was a city of steel and sky. It welcomed Daniel with icy winter winds and accents he struggled to understand. The engineering courses were intense, and the language barrier made everything harder. But in the lab, among the machines and instruments, he found his confidence again. He met Sophie, a robotics major from New Zealand, in a dynamics lab. They became fast friends, often debating over coffee about design philosophy. Sophie was a minimalist, believing in strict efficiency. "Form follows function," she would say, pointing to her neatly arranged CAD models. "No," Daniel replied with a grin. "Function can follow intuition. Sometimes beauty drives innovation." They pushed each other to grow. Daniel excelled in subjects like fluid mechanics and kinematics. He secured a prestigious internship with a biomedical engineering firm that designed robotic-assisted surgical devices. There he learned the delicate balance between precision and safety, how even a 0.1 millimeter misalignment could cause catastrophic failure. Every summer, he returned home to Hanoi, spending hours mentoring students in the same lab he once frequented. Chapter 3. Entering TechNova. Upon graduation, Daniel received offers from top engineering firms across Asia and Europe. But one company stood out: TechNova Robotics in Singapore, a fast-rising firm known for developing intelligent machines for healthcare, logistics, and defense. Their mission was ambitious: to create robots that could seamlessly integrate into human environments. Daniel chose TechNova not for the salary, but for the challenge. He joined as a junior design engineer in the Precision Motion Systems division. His first project involved designing a robotic arm for assisted rehabilitation therapy. The arm needed to replicate human gestures with incredible accuracy while operating quietly so not to distress patients during therapy. He threw himself into the work. He revised gear designs to reduce friction, experimented with magnetic joints, and simulated thousands of movement cycles to analyze stress points. His workspace became legendary, meticulously organized, lined with tools of all kinds, engineering books, and sketches pinned to corkboards. On his desk stood a 3D printed model of Leonardo da Vinci's Mechanical Knight, a reminder that artistry and engineering had always been intertwined. Claire, her manager, was known for being demanding but brilliant. She recognized Daniel's potential early. "You're not just an engineer, Daniel," she told him after a major prototype test passed. "You're a problem solver, and we need more of those." With her mentorship, Daniel began leading small project teams and taking on more responsibility. Chapter 4. The Turning Gear. TechNova's ambitions grew, and so did the complexity of its projects. One day, Claire called Daniel into her office with a serious expression. "We've got something new, a robotic exoskeleton for spinal injury patients. The government is watching this one closely." The task was monumental. The exoskeleton had to be light, strong, responsive, and adaptable to individual user needs. Daniel was appointed lead mechanical designer for the lower limb system. He assembled a team of engineers, including specialists in biomechanics, materials science, and software integration. For months, they worked long hours, days blending into nights. Daniel tested composite materials for flexibility and strength. He collaborated with hospitals to observe how patients moved and walked. The challenge wasn't just technical, it was human. Every millimeter mattered, every ounce saved reduced fatigue. One night, alone in the lab, Daniel stared at the prototype. Something was wrong with the gait timing. The knees were locking at the wrong angle. He rewatched patient gait recordings, hand-drew new linkage curves, and rebuilt a section from scratch using a mix of carbon fiber and thermoplastic. It worked. The next test showed a fluid, natural step. That breakthrough won praise from TechNova leadership. The prototype was presented to investors and medical partners, and Daniel was invited to speak at an international conference in Tokyo. On stage, wearing a tailored suit instead of his usual coveralls, he spoke not only of mechanics, but of empathy. "A machine that supports life must feel alive," he told the audience. Chapter 5. Rising Tensions. As TechNova's success grew, so did internal politics. A new executive, Vincent Eng, was hired to accelerate product launches and cut costs. He admired Daniel's results, but questioned his long development cycles. "We need to ship faster," Vincent said in a meeting. "Speed means survival." Claire disagreed. "Engineering isn't just deadlines, it's precision. Compromise quality, and we compromise lives." Daniel found himself caught in the middle. His latest project, a robotic surgical assistant, was falling behind schedule. The pressure to meet the deadline mounted. One night, Sophie, now a robotics consultant, visited the lab. "You look exhausted. What happened to building with intuition and care?" she said. "I still believe in that," Daniel replied quietly. "But now every decision is a war between cost, time, and quality." That night, he made a choice. He stayed back, reworked the actuator system, and simplified the design without sacrificing performance. It was a compromise, but a smart one. The surgical robot passed all tests and was cleared for clinical trials. It became one of TechNova's flagship successes. Chapter 6. The Setback. Just when things seemed smooth, disaster struck. A small component failure during a demo caused a robotic arm to seize mid-motion. The room fell silent. Though no one was harmed, the incident damaged TechNova's reputation. An investigation followed. Daniel's team was cleared of negligence, but Vincent blamed the delay in testing cycles. Claire took responsibility and stepped down. The office felt colder without her. Daniel, shaken but determined, retreated into deep R&D, questioning everything. Was speed truly the enemy of quality, or had he lost his instinct? One weekend, he traveled back to Hanoi and visited Mr. An. The old teacher listened, then said simply, "The gear doesn't turn because it's fast. It turns because it fits." Chapter 7. Recalibration. Daniel returned with new clarity. He restructured his team, encouraging open collaboration. Instead of chasing deadlines, he focused on cross-department testing, real user feedback, and iterative design. He also started mentoring junior engineers, reminding them of the joy in understanding, not just output. One of his mentees, Aisha, presented a new joint design that used modular magnetic couplings. It was elegant, and Daniel pushed it forward. The team's innovation won them a government research grant. Daniel's belief in thoughtful, intuitive engineering began to resonate across TechNova once again. Chapter 8. The Silent Gear. Their next project, nicknamed Silent Gear, aimed to build an autonomous service robot for hospitals, quiet, intelligent, and unobtrusive. Daniel poured his soul into it. He redesigned motor housings, worked with acoustic engineers, and tested dozens of wheel treads. In its final form, Silent Gear glided silently through hospital corridors, delivering supplies, monitoring patients, and offering assistance with a gentle tone. Hospitals praised its calm presence. This, Daniel thought, watching it move gracefully, is what machines were meant to be. Chapter 9. Legacy. Years passed. Daniel rose to Director of Engineering. TechNova expanded globally. But Daniel remained humble. He kept the old toolbox from Mr. On his shelf, and the Da Vinci model on his desk. He spoke often at universities, always beginning with, "I once took apart a broken fan and never put the screws back in." He wrote essays about engineering with empathy and how silence was sometimes the most beautiful function a machine could have. Chapter 10. Full Circle. One morning, TechNova received a visit from a Vietnamese student intern. I read your story in a textbook, she told Daniel, eyes wide with wonder. I want to build like you. Daniel smiled. Then start by listening to the machine. It always tells you something. He looked out over the lab floor. Young engineers solving new problems with old dreams. The gear turned silently, just as it should. Thanks for watching. Take action today, not tomorrow. Press subscribe. And let's keep learning together. You're doing great. See you in the next one. Stay strong.